one-stop shop for great wrestling. It's the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Ray Russell brings a host of great shows right to your device. There's the Wrestling Memory Grenade, Regional Wrestling, the Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, the Amazing Puro Academy Show, Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Dave Dynasty's long-running hit, Wrestling Nostalgia, Monday Warfare, Raw vs. Nitro, the hilarious Other Ship podcast, and a whole lot more. Great shows and great guests, but where do you find all this stuff? Really simple. Try logging on to WrestleCopia.com. As I like to say, it's your one-stop shop for great wrestling memories. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Join Bob Smith and Joe Puccio as they discussed the relatively new Hulk Hogan documentary series on Netflix Plus, along with all the tumult over being cut by pro wrestling companies. You know, wrestling's getting released. Oh, I remember my sweet, lovely Lillibred who released me. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'll never forget that day. I asked my wife, the lovely Lillibred. I said, Lillibred, why are you letting me go? She stared at the floor, looked up, and she said, you forgot the pastrami. I said, who cares about the pastrami? And she looked down on the floor once again and just said, you, you whizzle-doed son of a bitch. You know, it's been a long time since Lillibred and I spoke. Parted ways all those years ago, but one thing I learned is to be the bigger man about it and just think back and say, who needs you, you Get the hell out of here, you old... It's the Outdated Wrestling Hour. At least the WWE cuts were nicer than that was anyway. I think... Damn it. Fracka. I'm sorry, I'm mimicking today's wrestling fans. Hi, everybody. My name is Bob Smith. I used to be the managing editor of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, worked for the company from 1988 to 1995, and then I worked for WCW in their magazine, and I worked for Wrestling's Main Event, and down the line it goes. And welcome to the Outdated Wrestling Hour, the only weekly wrestling podcast that also comes in diet. And speaking of diets, Alistair? Joe Puccio is doing it to me again. He's got a name in the staff box. Alistair, are you referring to Mr. Black by any chance?
Yeah. Alistair Black. I figured I'd give him a shout out today. Again, these are things that just come to me seconds before we record and we get on the air. So yeah, it just came to me. Nothing really behind it other than that. Other than the fact that he was one of the recent cuts in the WWE recently. But yeah, how you doing, Bob?
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm still in super duper double secret one podcast after another recording type of thing. Looking forward to June and all that, and I'm just going every single day. I'm working on something like this. I just got news that I'm going to have a very special next Dated Entertainment Hour with a person in a major rock and roll band coming on the show, and I'm real excited about it.
Very cool. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. I don't know when this show is going to be scheduled. We are scheduled through the end of June as we speak, and I keep moving the shows around. So I can't be too prescient with these shows like I would like to be. The last few shows we did a WrestleMania preview recently, and that went very, very well. because we could time it. But because of the fact that I'm going to be out for a while, we're just going to have to do shows that are timeless. So if we refer to stuff that's 3 or 4 weeks old, please forgive us because, well, we got to do what we got to do to stay going, It's just the way it is. So let's start with you. You have been watching, and this came out as this comes out probably about a month ago, the Hulk Hogan documentary called Hulk Hogan Real American on Netflix. And I haven't seen it. You have. So for once, I want you to take over and just tell me what you've seen, what you think. You were a Hogan fan when you were very young, were you not?
I was, but I always say that I was never I was never a Hulkamaniac, so to speak. I wasn't one of those fans that got into wrestling. Just he was my guy, and I wanted to watch him every week. And he was the guy, the heels, and the guys like Piper and Randy Savage. And that being said, obviously he was the guy growing up because if you grew up in the '80s as a wrestling fan, you couldn't get away from him. And he was the biggest star in the business during that period. So I was really interested, as I'm sure many wrestling fans were, in watching this documentary. I did finish it. Took me a few days, but I watched all 4 parts, about an hour each part, maybe a little less, maybe 50 minutes to an hour. Now, let me just ask you, did you watch any of it?
Well, I just got done watching Born to Bowl on Max, which was the story of PBA stars competing for cash and prizes on the PBA tour. And I absolutely loathed the thing, Ben Stiller or not. I just think that these bowling documentaries all start the same way with, they don't make as money as golf. Look at this. He's doing his own car repairs. We know this, bowlers and, we have to pay their way between tournaments and get hotel rooms. We all know this. It's the PBA. This isn't the NFL or MLB.
Right.
Sometimes you get sponsors through the bowling ball companies. You have somebody, let's say your home house, as they say, that will sponsor you and, help pay your expenses along the way. But, doggone it. I'm a bowler. I enjoy professional bowling. I still watch it. It was on the CW this season. I thought they did a great job because they got rid of a couple clown announcers. But here's the thing. It's just that snark that comes with these things. I didn't appreciate it, and I grew disenchanted with it after the first episode. I bowled my way through all of them, and I didn't like it at all. Not even close. And you know what? These documentaries where they catch people in private moments, they're not private moments. There's a film crew there. I'm so sick of that stuff. It's so stupid. Oh, look at him. He was at home making eggs, and he said this and such.
Right.
But he had a film crew there. I mean, right? There's no such thing as reality TV, and there's no such thing as a film documentary where there's a film crew there and somebody's making breakfast saying something you're not supposed to know. You know what? He wanted you to hear it, or there wouldn't be a film crew there.
You're saying that WWE Unreal wasn't legit?
Never saw a frame of that either. No, I was against that.
Yeah,
that goes against everything I ever strove to be in my pro wrestling career.
Yeah.
Let's open up the doors and let the people know who's on the hot seat and, how we came up with this thing and how this thing didn't work, blah-de-da-de-da. Not for me. Still want to be stone cold blind to the inner workings, like nobody is now. Like when a wrestler comes back, there's already, what a surprise. He's back, and there's people holding up signs saying, welcome back, whoever it was. Nobody can keep a secret.
Like Paige. As far as the Hogan documentary, I enjoyed it. But that being said, there was nothing groundbreaking. It was entertaining. It was sort of a puff piece, I would say. There was really nothing, let's put it this way. If you're someone that is fairly knowledgeable about Hogan and you're a wrestling fan who's followed his career and you followed all the pros and cons of what's gone on with him, you probably are not going to be surprised. There's probably not going to be a big revelation in the documentary from what I can remember. For nostalgia, for the emotion, for looking back and watching a lot of these clips and seeing it, I had no problem with it as far as that goes.
As far as looking at Hogan, did they offer moments from his career that were big? His first title wins, WrestleMania, all those kind of things, the biggest actual moments of his career, or was it more of a psychological and personal profile?
It was both. I mean, it was definitely a personal profile. They talked about his family. They talked about his upbringing. They talked about his entry into the WWF. They went over the entire, and again, this is sort of what I was saying. They went over, for example, they talked about the movie role in Rocky. and how Vince McMahon Sr. told him, well, you're not doing that. And Hogan said, yes, I am. And Vince Sr. said, well, if you do that, you're fired. And Hogan said, okay. And he left. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good story. That's the type of story that if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a Hogan fan, you probably have heard it before. So they did both. As far as like the scandals and a lot of the bad stuff, so to speak, that went on in his career, they kind of glossed over it, I would say, for the most part. When it did get kind of interesting, they had a segment on Hogan's brother who had overdosed years ago. And while I did know about that, I don't know where I heard it, but I did remember reading that. So I did know about it. I don't know too many details. And I thought that would have been a really interesting conversation. And the interviewer was asking Hogan about it. A short answer, yeah, that's what happened. When he started digging a little deeper, the interviewer, Hogan basically said, I'm really uncomfortable talking about this. And, it brings back bad memories. And they moved on. So again, it was sort of like just when you think that you're going to get something maybe a little bit deeper, a little bit more quote unquote real, they kind of pulled back on it. So that's just an example of it. But again, it is what it is. I mean, you're not going to get a major documentary with major revelation. It is what it is. It was still entertaining, I felt.
Do you think it was geared more for wrestling fans or for people who weren't all that familiar with Hulk Hogan or never watched wrestling, that type of person?
That's a good question. A little of both, but maybe more for the non-fans because, again, the non-fans might not have known a lot of that stuff, looking at his character and just the separation of Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan. So I think it was a mixture of both. I can definitely see someone who maybe is a casual fan, maybe someone that doesn't fully follow wrestling, or maybe they watched it when they were a kid, but they really don't watch it too much anymore. Maybe they didn't know a lot of those stories. I can see it be a lot more fascinating than I think it is for someone like us who probably knows a lot of this stuff. And I will just say one thing. I actually only found this out yesterday. One of my writers for Generation X Wire did approach me and he mentioned that he wanted to write a review. And I will just say his fandom, he was a huge wrestling fan in the 80s when we were kids. Now he doesn't watch it at all. He has no interest in the current product. He probably hasn't watched it since the early 90s. So I'm talking a long time. I don't even think he watched the Attitude Era. So I'm actually really fascinated to see what he thinks about it, coming from someone who really hasn't watched it a lot and might not have known a lot of those stories. So that's going to be sort of a good comparison as well.
So after 4 episodes of this with plenty of old and new interviewers, they interviewed Hogan, I guess, right before he died and stuff like that. The question is, what do you think of Hogan as a person after watching all this? Because I know somebody online was keeping a track episode by episode of the number of lies that he told. The number of outright falsehoods that people could, easily disprove. So my question is, what's your opinion of Hogan as just a guy after watching all this stuff?
He doesn't come across badly. Does he tell lies? I think that's just part of who Hogan is and how he has been for many, many years and for a big part of his career. I mean, some of the lies really are not harmful. We know all the stories. What about the stories that he told about how, oh yeah, before the match with Andre at WrestleMania 3, I had no idea if Andre was gonna lose. Andre was gonna call it in the ring. He wasn't. It wasn't until I actually pinned him that I actually knew who was gonna win. Of course, that's not true. I think we understand that Vince had a handle on who was gonna win that match. 93,173 fans at WrestleMania 3, which Hogan still talks about. We know that's not true. So there's things that Hogan talks about.
I actually saw an interview with him somewhere from the past, and not on this thing, but he claimed, well, I picked up Andre. He was 700 pounds at that point.
Right.
I'm like, what in the world?
Exactly. That's
So
the
it's
other
not
one.
so much that he's lying; he exaggerates.
Well, it's kind of lying. I mean, because I think
a
knows,
lie is an exaggeration. Yeah, but
because he does know that that's just ridiculous. That Andre wasn't 700 pounds. You know what I mean? So it's like, why even say that? So I think a lot of it is just him. And they actually do delve into this a little bit because I think some of it is just not being able to separate wrestling and the Hulk Hogan character from real life. Something that sort of affects not only Hogan, but a lot of wrestlers, right? As we see. I mean, wrestlers love the hyperbole and they love what you said, the exaggerating and the, oh yeah, I did this. And, I drank, 100 beers and in one sitting, like they say about Andre. And yes, I know Andre is a different animal and who knows what's true or what's not. But I mean, things like that kind of just take it as gospel when we don't really know if it's true or not. As far as the type of person he is, he came off okay. You could definitely see that he was flawed because they did talk about the affairs, Brooke, his daughter's friend, or in those things, whatever it was, I forget now, but they did get into that a lot. His ex-wife was interviewed a lot, Linda, talking about their marital problems and things like that, his drug problems, and talked about Arsenio Hall going on that show and lying, as everybody remembers, when he lied about doing steroids. He did admit to that stuff, and you could see he's flawed. But as we know, Hogan sort of has that personality where he kind of seems like a guy that sort of an affable guy, nice guy that wants to be a friend. He doesn't come across badly, I don't think, on any of the interviews he's ever done.
Why is it that so many people in America, and I won't mention any names, but why is it that when you reach the pinnacle of your profession or status, do you feel the need to embellish? You can think of 5 famous people right now who all they do, first of all, you're not supposed to be braggadocio to begin with, but they are. And secondly, they'll just overemphasize stuff that really didn't happen. And I don't understand why the people who have accomplished have to add accomplishments to their list of achievements. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
You're right. I don't know. And I think in wrestling, I know you're talking about in general terms, but as we know, wrestling is one of the worst offenders. Wrestlers are one of the worst offenders with that. But yeah, it happens in all walks of life. Hogan really doesn't have to embellish, or he didn't have to embellish. He had a ridiculously impressive career, right? He did so many different things. So, why you would find the need to do it, I don't know. Last episode, they were speaking to him, and then they put a little sort of message on the screen, and it said something like, this was his last interview. And the way that they left it off, they showed the part where the interviewer was asking him a question. The way they left it off was Hogan asked the interviewer at one point in the last episode, "Are we done here? Like, is this it for today?" And the person interviewing him said, yeah, we're done. What we're going to do is take a couple of months off. We're going to get all this done, and then we'll come back and just do the final, any facts we need checked, funny, but things like that. We'll come back to you. And Hogan gets up, he walks away, and that's where they basically let you know that Hogan had passed away. I believe they said 2 months after that. So obviously never had a chance to get back with them. So that wound up being his last interview.
This just popped into my head. Is there any acknowledgement of his, acting career?
Yeah, they went into that as well. They talked about the Rocky III, talked about his other roles a little bit, not too much. It's a 4-part documentary. If you're looking at, let's just say, by roughly 4 hours, that's a lot of ground. That's a lot of time. So they did have a lot of time to go over the different facets of his career. Obviously, the WCW stuff and NWO and all of that, and a lot of interviews with Linda Hogan, his son Nick, of course, the wrestlers in the business, and friends and people like that. I'm curious to know what other people, other fans, or other listeners to the podcast, what everybody thinks, if they would agree, or if they thought it was really great, or if they think it was just a big thumbs down.
Did they do a lot about his earliest career, the Sterling Golden years, the Terry Boulder years? Did he do anything on that, or did they gloss it over?
A little bit, not much. Meaning they did cover it, but it wasn't a lot on it. Like it mentioned, they did talk about it, not a lot of detail. Only that would have been a lot more interesting.
How about the AWA stint?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because that really was the beginning of Hulkamania. They try to change it in the eyes of history. Vern Gagne was the guy who really started Hulkamania. I don't care what anybody says, because it's true.
Right. There's the story about Hogan and Hiro Matsuda. I think Hiro Matsuda was training him and broke his leg on the first day or the first week of training, and Hogan went back and all that stuff. So yeah, that stuff was in there. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. You don't have to rush and go see it. It's not must-see television, I would say. But it was entertaining enough where I would say I don't feel like it was a waste of time. It's funny because I did read some of the reviews afterwards, and I did see, I would say more of the reviews than not are negative.
Yeah.
More of them seem to say it's a puff piece and it's this and that. And yeah, it's all valid. Those are valid arguments, but I don't know that anyone really thought it was going to be this in-depth analysis of his career. I certainly didn't.
It's amazing to me. that nobody does, including the wrestling companies, and let's, not just for Hogan, but you take somebody who had an amazing career. Why not do an in-depth sports-like analysis of the career featuring match clips, results, championships? Show why he's great from the beginning to the end. Nothing else. A total documentary. And this is a great idea if anybody ever wanted to do it or could get access to the stuff. But imagine the documentary Hulk Hogan that does show those early years in the Indies and does show him in Florida. You show him building up the Boulder and the Dizzy Hogan and all that other stuff coming up, and just taking it step by step, just a couple of matches, maybe a narrator who says he did this, he did that. Stone cold facts like Joe Friday, just the facts, ma'am. I think that would be great, but nobody ever does anything like that.
It's true.
It was directed by a guy named Brian Storkel, who has a pretty good track record of documentary making, I think. So that kind of gives it a little credence in terms of that. And I hear it looks great. The cinematography of the new stuff looks really special. Netflix doesn't put on a whole bunch of junky stuff. They won't put it on if they don't think it's good. So, you know what I'm hearing from wrestling fans or from my contemporaries who are all like 106? They're all like, meh. Honestly, they're all like, well, I can take it or leave it. That's basically what I'm getting from other people. Do you know anybody else that saw it and gave a response to it?
The only person I know offhand that saw it, this writer, this friend of mine who's going to be reviewing it for the website, I don't know offhand anybody else that's seen it or at least has watched the entire thing. That speaks to what I'm saying, in that I think the reason why our contemporaries, the reason why people who are following wrestling, why they might have that attitude is because we probably knew most of it, that there was really nothing new. So it's like, that's the attitude, right? I know it. Yeah, nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. So I think that's the reason. So that's why I do think that someone that doesn't know or didn't know a lot of that stuff, they probably would be a little bit more into it.
I agree. It sounds like the kind of project that's better for neophytes rather than real serious fans, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Or introducing the human side of somebody who was larger than life, and that's all you saw on the day. Because everywhere he went, if he was on a talk show, he's hulking up and going, oh, brother, and all that other stuff. He would be that character. Very rarely did he break the persona and speak as himself.
That goes into the separation of Terry Bollea and Hulk Hogan. I mean, that's something that has been talked about his whole career, that you can't separate the two. One of the interesting things they also talked about, this just jogged my memory, speaking about him and his real life, they did a lot on the Hogan Knows Best television show. VH1 did the cameras and they did the pseudo reality show. And again, you don't know how much of this is true. But Hogan's saying that, I got a call from VH1 and they wanted us to do it. And I went into the living room. I told Linda and the kids, I said, this is what VH1 wants. What do you think? They all jumped on it. And I said, okay, if you guys want to do it, let's do it. And he kind of wrapped it up with a nice bow. How that was so hard, having the cameras in the house and how his marriage was in bad shape at that time. So they did a lot of that stuff. But again, that's a lot of the stuff that kind of already came out once Hogan and Linda got divorced and all that. So a lot of it was rehashed for people like us.
I have to imagine there's a lot of interviews with the family members.
Oh, yeah. Linda was all over the place. Same with the kids. I would say more than anyone, it was Linda. Any chance she can get, she does these interviews talking about things. So, yeah, she was all over it as well. Nick, and I know Nick has been getting a lot of play since it aired. I've been reading a lot of stuff with him. I guess people are seeking him out for interviews. He's talking about the possibility of a Hogan biopic now, that he's sort of shopping around, saying that there's been talk that they're going to do a movie on him. And the latest I heard was him being asked if he's going to be a wrestler, if he's going to actually become a wrestler. And he's like, yeah, I'm in good shape. I might give it a shot and things like that, which kind of bugs me when he says things like that. It's like, okay, you're in good shape, which he is, he works out in good shape, but doesn't mean you can just say, yeah, I think I'll be a wrestler.
There'll be a promoter who will say the Hogan name will make $1 million.
Yeah.
Call Billy Corgan there, Nick. You imagine? I can imagine. Yes. Yeah.
Nick in the NWA?
Yeah, the champion and everything else. Are you kidding me? Oh my God, that's a match made in heaven. You know why? Because it shouldn't be happening. That's why. And that's the NWA these days. So that's my official prediction. Nick Hogan ends up in the NWA.
So before you know it, Nick Hogan is going to be all over our television screens via Comet TV.
Right next to Stargate SG-1. All right, so there's your unabashed semi-review, or just your thoughts about the Hulk Hogan miniseries. And once again, it's called must have taken him months to come up with this title, Hulk Hogan, Real American. And it is, and I hope by the time this show comes out, it's still on Netflix. And this is what bothers me about the streaming services. They'll put on a special thing like this, and you never know how long it's going to remain on the platform. Like you'll watch parts 1 of 2, and then you go back to watch 3 and 4, and it's not there anymore. How many times have you done it? Or, hey, I saw Monty Python on Netflix, and they took Monty Python off of Netflix. So
Yeah.
nothing stays there forever, but I think this one will have some legs. I'm sure it'll hang there for a month or 2, I would think.
See, I don't know. That's a little surprising to me. Like, I know what you mean about Netflix and streaming platforms with television series and movies, but documentaries, I really don't know. Because I think any documentaries I watch, I generally watch them fairly quickly when they're out. If it's a documentary I want to see, I'll generally watch it within the first couple of weeks that it's out. But that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think that would be kind of crazy to remove it from that platform.
Nobody has enough bandwidth to keep everything they've ever done on a streaming platform. So here's the thing. If it does the numbers, it'll stay. If there wasn't enough interest, it'll go. It all comes down to moolah, the Gitas. No slippery guy named Slip is ever going to cheat us. Azul. Mo, Larry, and Sheb, 1951.
But I did read that the ratings on a few different platforms, they weren't as high or weren't as many views. I don't know exactly how they measured on Netflix, but it wasn't as high as they anticipated. That it was a little underwhelming, a little disappointing. But again, I don't know, don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's valid, but I did read that in a few different places.
I'm going to watch it now. You have piqued my interest enough that I think I will just take a gander at it. And it can't be that painful. So I'll take a look. Maybe I'll learn a few things. But you know how I am. I'm such a purist. I'd rather watch old matches, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
I really would. You know how I am. I will watch. I have been watching so much old stuff lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a bone to pick with one of the supposedly top video companies out there that does old wrestling DVDs. I ordered a DVD. It listed about a bunch of matches. It said an hour, 35 minutes runtime. And when I get the DVD, it's got like half of what they listed. I don't know how that happens. Buyer beware out there.
Highlights of it, or they just didn't have those matches?
This is stuff from the 60s. It just wasn't on the disc at all.
Wow.
Didn't even list it on the back, but the page for it on the website lists all these matches, and it's not what I got. So now what do you do?
What do you do?
You write a letter and you hope that they respond. We'll find out. But in any event, it's a little disappointing. Hey, I got a finite amount of liquid cash. If I'm buying a 1965 Washington, D.C. wrestling DVD, can I please get the one? I wanted to see certain matches. I didn't get to certain matches. I've only got 10 minutes left. I want to see these matches. Thank you, Bob. Here's Bob's review of what. And by the way, here's the saddest part. The stuff that was on the DVD, I already have. The stuff I knew that going in that some of the matches were going to repeat the stuff. I didn't get the unseen matches, which is why I ordered the DVD in the first place.
Right.
What to do? I will keep the listeners informed of this serious matter. As a consumer service to you out there, get the most for your wrestling dollar. And speaking of getting the most for your wrestling dollar, we'll go back in time now. By the time, I guess about a month ago at this point, WrestleMania came and went. And then, drum roll, the annual list of cuts. They bring people up from NXT and other people pay the price with their jobs, really. But here's the thing. It happens every year. It's been happening this way for a long time. The overwrought, almost crazed reaction from fans on the IWC, Internet Wrestling Community, has to be read to be believed. You would think, you would think that this was a serious moment in their lives and that these wrestlers are going to be ruined and then this isn't fair.
Right.
I don't believe it. This one's in the middle of a program. Oh my God. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. In 1981, Greg the Hammer Valentine was in the WWF. And at one point, he becomes the Intercontinental Champion, right? But during Greg's career, he also wrestled in Alabama, the AWA, Grand Prix, the NWF, IWCCW. He was the champion there for Savoldi. He wrestled in Toronto. Great in Mid-Atlantic. That's the Piper feud. Throughout the NWA, tons of smaller organizations. And you know what? Even though he's known best probably for being in the WWF because he was in them for 3 long stints, here's the thing, when he disappeared, nobody cried. Can you imagine? He just didn't show up one day, and the fans went, "Oh, yeah, he's not here anymore, is he? Maybe he'll come back sometime." That was the reaction of wrestling fans in my day. Now, you would think, what do you think? Yeah, I don't wanna beat a dead horse, but the overwrought, dramatic prose I am reading about wrestlers being released, it's I understand if you like the wrestler, you go, "Oh, I'm disappointed he's not there today. I don't like this." That's one statement. But the things they're saying, "Fire this guy. Triple H needs to go. It's Nick Khan. It's the UFC guys. It's all this other stuff." Children, please. These people are all going to be fine. And you know what? I was thinking about it. There are plenty of places to go now. The indies haven't been this hot in years. You've got the NWA, you've got AEW, you've got TNA. You got all these places to go. I mean, seriously, look at Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona pulled himself up by the bootstraps and said, "All right, I got released. How do I handle this? I'm going to go work." And he worked and worked and worked. And where is he now? Back in the WWE, right? He's not winning a whole lot, but you know what? Fans are behind him. And I'm sure he's making a nice living, just like his wife, Chelsea Green, said. She said it best, and I paraphrase, if I'm not champion, that's one thing, but I got a new house and I got this going on. My life is wonderful. The fans don't realize how much these people get paid and how just making those rosters is a very big deal. You could be set for the rest of your life wrestling for 5 years in a big organization. That's the bottom line. The wrestlers aren't worried about their championship belts. They're not worried about how they get pushed. They're worried about making a living just like you and me and everybody else who has a job. Joe, floor is yours.
I think it ties into the internet wrestling community and the like you're alluding to with the booking and just the fans wanting to book the shows and think that they know what's best. It's sort of the same thing because how can you get rid of Kairi Sane? How can you get rid of Aleister Black to Zelina Vega and the list goes on and on? You know, they should have done more with them and they should have pushed them and they should have won this, they should have won that. So yeah, again, I get it. Hey, look, I liked Kairi Sane as well. I thought she was really great. I really liked her as a wrestler. So I would prefer to see her still there. But yeah, these wrestlers aren't going to be homeless. They're not going to be kicked out of their house. Not only to expand on what you're saying, going to different places and how that was just always something in the business that people go from territory to territory. They go to different companies, but especially nowadays where these wrestlers are going to make bank just doing autograph shows, just doing conventions. As soon as these wrestlers who have WWE exposure are not with a major company, and this would apply to any of the major companies, it would apply to AEW as well. As soon as they're not with one of these major companies, the first thing they do is do autograph shows, do conventions. And we're not talking $10 an autograph here. You know, this isn't the olden days. We're talking $50, $100, $200 just for an appearance, just for a picture. And fans are going to line up and they're going to do it. They're going to get these people to sign their stuff and to meet them. So on top of that, independents pay well if you have a big name, even if you don't have a big name. If you're someone, again, that was on television or that was in WWE and you're known, you know, to the audience, you're going to make money. As far as going to the major companies, I mean, yeah, they're going to get jobs. And who knows? They'll even return to WWE. I mean, you mentioned Matt Cardona. Who's to say that they're not going to be back in WWE in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years? They're probably going to come back. And not all of them, of course, but some of them will. They'll find places to work. So again, yeah, I completely agree. As the fan in me, definitely I will say that, yeah, man, I really wish this person was still with the company. I really wish this was done. But other than that, it's like, look, there's so much talent. These rosters are just overflowing in these companies where you have just so many people that you kind of understand. I mean, it is a business, right? I mean, you have to make way for the new blood. You can't just have everyone on the roster and just pay these guys no matter what. So you have to sort of make cuts. And that's what they're doing. So yeah, I kind of find it comical as well. The outrage over it. I will agree in that, you know, they're going to be fine.
I point you to Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux now. They are everywhere. He's every place. I got the new PWI issues. There's a big thing about them in there too. They're gonna be fine. They ended hot in the WWE, even though they ended up parting ways, but he ended up with his character more powerful than it ever was at the end, and the fans were rooting for him, and they're gonna continue to root for them wherever they go. So if you parlay it right, I think they're gonna probably make, like you say, good bank doing the indies, because it's
They will.
possible. There's indies everywhere now.
There
Town
is.
like Philadelphia has 2 or 3 different indies running there. I mean, there are places to go. Will you get the same salary that you made it? Of course you're not. You know, WWE is its own animal. Will you starve? Absolutely not, particularly if you're in your athletic prime. Like a guy like Apollo Crews, you don't think he's gonna get booked somewhere? Or, the act of, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega? Certainly they will.
And I could talk firsthand from with someone you mentioned, Killer Cross. I interviewed Killer Cross last year for Generation X Wire, and this was right after he left WWE, and he talked about that. He told me, he said, I'm fine. I mean, he literally said that. He's like, do I wish it would have ended differently? Yes. I wish things had been a little different, but I'll be fine. I have big things coming. I'm going to make myself known. I'm going to be going here, doing there, lots of new things coming my way. And he is fine. I mean, he's been doing well. And one other thing that just sort of crossed my mind that you kind of just mentioned, sometimes it actually helps the careers of these people when they leave. If they're not being used on television, I know some of them are, but if they're not being used, maybe they're losing, they're not getting the big push, and they leave, they go on the indies, they go to another company, and they get a new type of following. Then by the time they come back, they could be even a bigger star than they were in the first place, or they could have a whole new fan base. So a lot of times it actually helps to freshen them up a little bit, to leave for a while, come back, and you're a bigger star than you were before. So I think there's just so many different facets, so many different elements to these things that people don't really take into account. If it's up to the fans, it seems nobody would ever get cut. It would literally be a roster of 20,000 people,
As far as some of the cuts goes, my favorite act in WWE history, the Wyatt Six, all got bumped at the same time. Now let's go back in time a little bit. Nothing with the name. I don't care what anybody says. After the period where they looked like the swamp people, with the long beard and the hat. And when he came back as the Fiend nothing worked. Nothing. Now I understand that Wendy Rotunda was a great guy. Everybody loved him. This has nothing to do with this. Is the on-screen stuff I'm talking about. I don't want to merge the human being with the characters and the stuff that went on the ring. The stuff that went on the ring as the Fiend was so preposterous and bad, people forget the booing. His last appearance, when he lost the match against Orton or whatever, it was a debacle. The match was awful. So they pick up where they left off with Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy again, and they put the other guys in nice characters depicting his old puppets. How was this ever going to work? Where do you take it once you've shown it? There was no place to take it. You're not killing anybody. It's not a horror movie. Although that original thing where they knocked everybody out and they were all bloody in the gorilla position, remember when they debuted?
Yeah,
Right from that moment, it was right after WrestleMania. I was on a high and I went, oh my God, no. And you know what? And I got people on the, IWC, they were over. They were so popular. If they were popular, they wouldn't have released all of them. Right before she got released, too, I saw a edition of SmackDown where Nikki Cross just kind of came out the last 6 months. Never wrestled the match. Just kind of came out. So I wrote on Facebook, I said, boy, I'd love to have Nikki Cross's job. That's all I said. And people went, yeah, no kidding. She never did anything. Was she ever in a singles match? No.
Right. You're basically getting paid for nothing.
To look spooky.
Yeah.
Awful. You know what? Awful. Just awful. I don't care. I don't understand the mindset of the fan who thinks this is somehow creative. It's not. It's desperate. There's a difference. Nothing with the name Wyatt on it past the original Wyatt family worked. The Fiend was ridiculous. How about that classic WrestleMania tape match of Cena versus Bray Wyatt? How about the other film match with supposedly Braun Strowman drowned at the end of the filmed, thing, and there was blood came out of the water, all this stuff, and in the end you see Bray Wyatt laughing. Yeah, that's real classic wrestling, ain't it? Awful.
I completely admit I
You
don't even
block it out
remember.
because it sucked. That's
Yeah,
why.
I don't even remember the Braun one. I definitely remember the Cena one, which was just a debacle. It was awful.
Well, there was a
Yeah,
Randy Orton one where they burnt the house down or something.
yeah, 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 yeah.
How was this? Well, Vince was around back then. It says a lot.
The Wyatt Six they were feuding with Tama Tonga or those guys, and
Yeah,
weren't they
with
feuding
over
over
the
like
lantern.
a
Yeah.
lantern? Right. I was gonna say it was some type of object like a lantern, which I never quite understood what was
And
going
at the end,
on.
they just gave it back to him. Said enough of this and gave it back. Now, my way of ending this. Now, think of this, Bob the Booker.
Uh-oh.
My way of ending it would be for Solo to stand in front of Bo Dallas, or excuse me, Uncle Howdy, take the thing and smash against the ring post and break it. The minute it breaks, he takes off his mask and just walks away. That would have been a fitting finish to the Wyatt Six. What do you think?
That's interesting.
I know what Vince would have done. He would have had the guy catch on fire and explode, and then he's not there anymore and go,
Right.
well, that's the end of the Wyatt Six, because that's as dumb as everything else they did. So, no, I think they should have smashed the lantern and have him go, oh, my link to my past is gone. I'm walking away. That would have let him go with a little dignity, right?
Yeah. That doesn't sound bad, honestly.
I should be booking in a
There
high
you
school
go.
gym in Newark. No, I wouldn't. You know why? If I was a booker in a high school gym in Newark, you know what you get? 6 wrestling matches. Nobody wants to see that anymore. 6 wrestling matches. No goofy names. In fact, you can use your real name if you want to. You be the bad guy, you be the good guy. I like your style, you're going to do this, and let the wrestlers show off. No storyline. Zip, zilch, nothing. You could have the ring announcer say, former collegiate wrestler, blah, blah, blah. And here he is from formerly with this company, blah, blah, blah. Just let him go. You don't
Right.
need a backstory on the indies. And the indies are terrible. I hate to say this. The more I see these clips online, like I saw Gotham Wrestling recently, one of their episodes. I don't even
Mhm.
know where they promote or anything. I
Mhm.
think, you know where was I think it was from Nyack, believe it or not. They call it Gotham Wrestling. Yeah, it was a club in Nyack, I think. And the first thing you see is a bunch of 2 tag teams got and the 2 guys are arguing. Why are they arguing? Who are they? These people are so gimmick minded and so storyline minded. Excuse me, the wrestling becomes secondary to all this goofy stuff. Enough with it. Just show some athletes.
Mhm.
I long for a promotion that does classic announcer next to the ring apron interviewing guys stuff, right? Just the normal, here's an interview. Congratulations on your match. Yeah, that was a tough one. He's a tough opponent. And I really had to be on my sharp. It's not enough to say I want that title.
I don't think that any indie promotion will ever be that way again. I don't think
No.
it's just not, because there's so much competition now, and there's so many of these companies just starting up, and they're all over the place. They all feel like they need to stand out some way, and they need to be the crazier the better, the zanier the better. And I think they would look at that and say, oh, there's no way anybody would care about that. There's no way we'd watch that, because they could, they can watch the indie company in the next town over, watching them go through 5 tables, that are on fire.
Gee, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Look, I'll say it again. When I was growing up, wrestling was everybody want to see the good guy win. Today's wrestling fans are looking for spots and dangerous maneuvers. They won't even mind an injury or two. That's how crazy things have gotten out there. That is it. Spots, and the more risks they take, the better. I think it's a sad state of affairs, especially in the indies. There must be an indie somewhere that's like kind of normal. I think the one that Rick Del Santo does in Connecticut is
Okay.
pretty old school in terms of its mindset. I mean, if you have a good high flying wrestler against like a powerful one, it's always a good match. I don't know. They overthink. I honestly think calm it down on the indies and just present some good athletes. And I'll say this one more time. I said this in a recent episode. I'll say, yeah, wrestling's got to be less stupid, because there is going to come a time, particularly with a younger fan in his teens, into his 20s, into age 30, where he's going to tune in. They're going to do something really stupid, and that fan is going to go, this is stupid. I'm going to watch something else. I am telling you, they better watch their butts.
I would tend to agree, yet I don't know, because I feel like there's been so much of that already that it's like if they haven't driven away the audiences yet, what is it going to take? I mean, look at Danhausen. Danhausen's in the ring he's cursing the Miz or whatever the hell he's doing. He's cursing the Miz. If that hasn't done it, what will? It's almost like it's just accepted at this point. Now, whether or not that is eventually going to, little by little, it's going to chip away at the viewers, And little by little, who knows? You might be right. But I feel like if it would have happened, it would have happened by now. And it's still got some crazy good audiences, right? They still have really good viewers.
Well, so far, well, I don't know about the TV ratings. I heard they took a little bit of a roughy tumble. But here's the deal. I watched AEW the other day, and there's Orange Cassidy doing his air kicks with his hands in his pockets again. I'm like, what is it, like 7 years of this now? So
Yeah.
if that doesn't turn people off, what is going to turn people off? That's the question. So look, I say it again. Watch what you like what you watch. I got no complaints with any fan who is a fan of anything. There's probably somebody who is the most diehard NWA fan out there. You put your hat on and you go and watch those matches. I'm telling you. At least we still got wrestling. That's my credo in my older age now. At least we still got this stuff. And we can bandy out about it here on our outdated show. A lot of good new YouTube old timer wrestling right now. Get on YouTube. Type in the name of your favorite wrestler, and I think you'll be surprised at what you find. I've been watching a lot of YouTube oldies, and it's been good, real good. I also still am a subscriber to the Savoldi wrestling tape library, which is kind of odd. It's, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but there's a lot of a little bit. There's a lot of different territories and stuff like that. And I'm in the midst of a year subscription to it. And you know what? It's cheap. You say, oh, I'm not getting another service. I mean, 1 year of this costs less than a month of other services I subscribe
Oh,
to. So I
there you
would
go.
I would just look into it. There are other wrestling networks on Roku apps that you download and you watch them. Some of them have a thing where you could pay for it and you get no ads, but you can watch them for free if you're willing to accept the ads. I got no
Right.
problem with that either. So yeah, keep looking around and just type in wrestling on your apps on your Roku box, or probably even on your Fire Stick, and you'll find more wrestling than you think is out there. This is really a gold. It's been a good year so far for between that and the WWE Vault. There's a lot of keen old stuff to watch out there. I'm heartened by that.
That's great. Yeah. I haven't watched too much of it lately. I haven't really searched, but yeah, I know. Anytime I get in the mood, I just pull up YouTube and I just watch old matches and there's just a plethora of stuff for that particular person. So I definitely agree.
2 nights ago, I'm sitting here in the side room and I had a mint julep and I'm watching the IWA from 1975 with Bulldog Brower and the Mighty Igor, and I'm a happy old man. What can I tell you? Little Abner Osborne is your referee? Come on, please. Jack Reynolds and Tex McKenzie,
Sure.
color man. Doggone it, Jack, you curly-haired devil, you're quite a guy. You know why? I think young people should watch old wrestling just to see the difference in the way it was presented. It was really no frills. And it was kind of presented, particularly in the East Coast, we talk about this a lot. It was presented like boxing in the East Coast and in Pennsylvania and New York. You had state athletic commissions. They had all these officials around the ring, and it looked like this is a sport because what would the state athletic commission be doing here without, it being a sport? But they were exhibitions.
Right.
That was the word you had to look out for. These wrestling exhibitions are sanctioned and supervised by the State Athletic Commission. James J. Binns, your chairman. The timekeeper at the bell, Mike Bittman. This is 70 stuff. Am I old? I think I'm old. Let me check my watch. How old am I? Oh, shoot. Look at that blood pressure. The pressure. Joe, it's good to see you. Give me some recent things that are happening at generationxwire.com, all of which, by the way, you should let people know that they can flick around in that thing and find all kinds of stuff that was posted months ago, right?
Oh, months ago and years ago. Yeah, we have...
nothing comes down once it goes up, right?
Nothing comes down. There's a ton of content. The last 2 things we have actually are 2 stories about Michael, but these are 2 very, very different Michaels, just by coincidence. We have a review of the new Michael Jackson movie that came out where I believe his nephew played Michael. JC Correa, one of our writers, he just reviewed that. So that was a really interesting read, being that I have not seen the movie.
You want to hear my review? I saw it. You want to hear my review?
Oh, you did see it?
Yeah, here we go. Hee. That's my review of the film.
That's a good one. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we got that, and we have a very, very different Michael, a feature on Michael Learned of the Waltons. She played the mother on the old Walton show. I finally got her. I finally got the article up. She was excellent to talk to. Great stories about the olden days. She was a real trooper. She's 87 years young. and she was on the Zoom, and she was able, with a little help from her grandson, she was able to get on the Zoom, do a great interview, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, two very different Michaels, but those are probably the two latest things that we have on there.
And listen, I'm not going to put you down for that. I'll tell you what, if you're as old as I am, the Waltons were it for a while. I think it was one of the top 5 ratings for at least 5 seasons. It was on CBS, as I recall, on Monday nights.
CBS, and as I told Miss Learned during our interview, both of my parents are still huge fans of that television show. Not only are they huge fans of it, but they still watch it several times a week on MeTV. So she was very happy to hear that, and they were very happy to hear my report on it. So yeah, very pleasant interview, and some are more pleasant than others, and hers was certainly up there.
Fans who want MeTV, but it's not available in your area. MeTV is one of the last over-the-air type of stations, and not everybody gets it. If you really miss that and you wanna see a lot of great cartoons and you wanna see a lot of content from the old days, I have to recommend the Friendly, I think it's just spelled FRNDLY app or streaming service. It's only like $7 a month, and it has so much old content on it, it's crazy. Well, the reason I got it, Brian Solomon, when they first came out with MeTV Tunes, it's nothing but cartoons 24 hours a
Right.
day. And, we bought it for that, and now I'm finding I'm getting into reruns about Barney Miller and all this other stuff, and it has a DVR on it, so you can save if you can't watch it at the time when it's on, you can DVR the stuff. So it's pretty cool.
And okay, so you watch this app like you can watch it on the Roku, say?
Yeah. Yeah, on my
Oh,
regular TV, yeah,
oh, you
sure.
watch? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
you pay
cool.
for it. It's
Yeah,
it's one of the least expensive entertainment apps that's out there that has not original content, but one-of-a-kind content you can't really get anywhere. You're not gonna get Mr. Magoo cartoons anywhere else.
right, right, right,
And
right.
stuff like that. But it's got a bunch of stations on it. Friendly, it's meant to be short for family friendly, and most of the stuff on it is like clean, clean stuff, the cowboy westerns and stuff like that, and Dragnet and, that kind of programming. But, I Love Lucy and, Andy Griffith, and just go down a list of stuff. Sometimes it's hard to find the classics now. Like, where's I Love Lucy on? I can't name it. I know she's somewhere. I just don't know where. I never dreamed I Love Lucy was on reruns forever growing up, and as an adult, it was around. Gone now, it's only in a streaming service, and the only one that I still see in syndication from my era as a kid is The Honeymooners on Channel
Mm,
11 still on the weekends.
yeah.
That's it. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, I
That's
haven't
it.
seen I Love Lucy on regular television reruns for a while, now that you mention that. I see it occasionally, it's on, like, in the middle of the night. I don't know what station, it might be one of those really obscure stations. No, it's not on the regular broadcast station. There was a time when, even PIX in New York would show The Honeymooners every night and I Love Lucy and all these plays and all these shows, but no, I Love Lucy is one that seems to have, be more of a streaming thing now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I never thought I'd see the day because
Yeah,
it was always on. It was my whole life, it was only up until I'd say about 15 years ago, and then it just disappeared. Poof, gone. I think even the Hallmark Channel, how far even they got rid of it. I mean, it's just I think the era black and white stuff, I think the programmers just think it's too passé and nobody's gonna watch it.
could
It's
be.
just that. I think it's I don't think it's the content, I think it's the fact that it's in black and white.
It could be, yeah.
Because now we got HD, we got HDR, we got, oh my gosh, I got one of them big I actually do have a very big LG OLED set,
Okay.
and it will tell you like, there's one called Movie Maker. There are different ways these things are broadcast. It will tell you what it is when you watch it, so if you wanna make some adjustments to the picture, you can do it. These sets are so complicated, you have to set it up when you get it out of the box. You just don't plug it in. You have to set it up, and you
I
know
know.
what? It's not a pain in the ass. I really, really it's the best investment we ever made. It's like going to the movies every night of the week. I'm telling you, it's that good. It's that good. Sound and everything. This is why I don't buy ball game tickets anymore. I'd rather watch it at home.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I feel the same way.
Why would I go freeze my ass off to watch an April game? By the way, the Mets are, as we talk, are 9-19. The worst start in years. They're terrible. Hardly watchable.
I don't follow baseball as much anymore as I used to, but yeah, I was shocked. I mean, not well shocked, but I mean, I saw it I was watching the news and they had the sports segment on and they were talking about how bad they were. I was like, wow, that didn't take long.
This is shaping up. They look so bad right now. They may end up being historically bad. Like
Wow.
the 1962 Mets had the worst record in baseball history until 2 years ago. The Chicago White Sox beat
Uh-huh.
that record. I think they won 38 games all year, about 162 or something like that.
Right,
So
right.
it won't be that bad. But here's the problem. They can't do a thing. It's I've never seen a team malaise like this. They don't hit, they don't field, and they don't get clutch pitching. It's like when they need one of those factors, hitting, fielding, or pitching, they don't get the one, or they'll create a bad error or get picked off a base, and nobody's hitting. It's spooky how bad they are, considering they have really good players. Ouch. I don't whine and cry over my team. No, I'm a full-grown adult. I don't get mad when wrestlers get released. They'll be fine. Is Alistair Black going to call me and say, "Bob, you're having an operation soon. Would I like a few bucks?" No, he's not calling me. So, no, I'm just kidding. It's all in fun. So that's it for now. Do you wanna hang around for the goodbyes, or
Sure.
you're not usually here for the goodbye? I should give you a piece of paper and make you read it for once, damn it. Do your job. What am I paying you for? Oh, all right, here we go. Write to us, outdatedwrestling@gmail.com. Joe, you never write, you don't call.
Uh, I
What's a
gotta,
mother to do?
I gotta do better. I gotta
Yes,
do
you
better.
do. And listen, I recently read something somebody wrote. I mean this. If you write something that's interesting in an email, not on Facebook, in an email, chances are I may just bring it onto the show. Why not? If it's interesting, let's read it. If you hate the show, write me a hate letter. We'll read that. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
As long as they hate you and not me.
Yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
that goes without saying. That's what
Right,
it's
right,
gonna
right.
be. Yeah. Our website, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. Let me say that very clearly. Outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout. Sprout.com. That is our website where all of our old shows are stored. You can listen to the show there as your usual app to listen to it. And every single one of our shows, going back to the very first one, is there for your listening pleasure at the press of a button. I do not Patreon for old shows like some podcasts do. I just want the ears, I want, if you find an old topic or something, we got great old guests on there. You can hear Broadway Sonny Blaze, the WE enhancement talent. We have Steve Kern on the show. We got the team of Terry Sullivan and Dave Brzezinski, the Detroit Legends. Just go down the list of who we have. Bill Apter on a couple of shows. So there's a lot you might enjoy. Don't listen to the first one, the one where I just got on and I recorded that show in like 30 minutes. I think it's 20 minutes long, and I got it out that evening. And boy, does it show! I am not the biggest fan of the early 4 or 5 podcasts. I was feeling my way, but once I got used to it, things went very, very well. So, and you know what? I
Yeah.
didn't realize, it was somebody wrote to me and said, "Do you know you were like top 15 when you first came out?" I said, "You gotta be kidding me." I said, "No." And here's why. The podcast world is so cockeyed that if you put out a new show and you get any number of downloads or any number of listens, you're gonna be in the top 30. The thing that's gonna frustrate you, though, because I know the business now, is if you do 5 times that many 3 months from now, you'll be 100 points lower in the ratings. It's like grabbing for smoke. There's none of this makes any sense.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
new ones get weighed heavier if you have any kind of a debut at all that people were interested in. And like I said, we started when I was on my previous podcast, it debuted at number 8,
Wow.
the old one the first one I was on.
Right,
But
right.
it just goes to show you, yeah, don't get all hung up on the ratings. First of all, if you're doing any kind of a podcast in the genre, the famous people are gonna get all the listens. They are.
Of course.
JR and Jim Cornette, the people who are in the business, and they deserve to. They deserve to be the most popular podcast. Those are the people who really are the experts. Then you have, guys like me on the fringes, and other journalists have started podcasts, and it's all good. I mean, look at the Arcadia Vanguard stuff with John McAdam and Steve Generelli, and we have Ray Russell here on WrestleCopia Network doing really, really good podcasts, and they're always in the ratings too. Why? Because they built an audience based on how good the shows were. So that's all I'm really worried about at this point. And I'm going to continue to do this show until, well, my leg falls off or something, or I lose my larynx or something like that. So far, I still have my gift of gab, even though it's eroding. I didn't do good today, did I? I feel like I was flubbing a lot today. I need to take Geritol. Where can I find Geritol?
I'm sure you have some in your medicine cabinet.
You son of a... You folks who still rely on the 6:30 CBS Evening News every night, if it's advertised on TV and you're old and it's meant for you, don't buy it. It ain't gonna help. But I don't care what it is. Don't buy it. There's this brain fog remedy and also the Geritol type stuff, and this pill will do that, and this set of arch supports will make you Olympic hurdler. No, it's not happening. It just
Right.
isn't. And there's always been seniors that got that stuff. Here, drink this white vanilla stuff and you'll be entirely healthy. No, you won't. You're gonna
And
get the sugar.
And it's gotten so bad now, more and more, you can't get away from those ads, especially at that time, at certain times of the day. My parents have taken to, it's like clockwork now. If they happen to be watching television during the day and the commercials come on, they just have the remote in their hand and they automatically mute it. They just sit there in silence because they don't want to hear any of the commercial. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Other things seniors have to watch out for, or people of any age. If you're scrolling on social media, like Facebook and a lot of these have the ads in between what you're looking at, don't buy that stuff. There's always some miracle product, or this pill does that, or this cleaner does this, or this watch. I'm a watch collector. They have like these $30 watches they're selling for $300. Don't do it. Don't do it. Social media is not your friend.
I think that's good advice, Bob. Do it.
Do you ever scroll Facebook and see the stuff they sell there?
I mean, I see it, but yeah, I'm so, like you said, I mean, I just kind of pass it up and I don't even pay it any attention. I mean, I'm probably the worst person to try to advertise to because I literally have blinders on,
Oh, I'll just block the ads too. If I see something that's really, really out there, I'll just block it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Facebook hates it when you do that too. They don't like it when you block the ads. But you know what? Don't sell me garbage.
Exactly.
I know it's garbage. It looks like garbage. Good thing I didn't step in it. It's junk. Don't buy junk. Listen to good podcasts on good receivers. Find us on TuneIn. Find us on Spotify. Find us on Apple Podcasts. All the biggies. We're also on Podbay FM, and we're on all of them. Deezer. You know all the different places you can find us. It's crazy. Podbay, Podbean.
Podbean. Yeah, there you go.
All guys, children got a pod. We're on all of the... I gotta go. That's it. I'm getting loopy. My name is Bob Smith. This is Joe Puccio. We will see you guys next week. Until then, in the words of the great Ringo Starr, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Peace and love. Attention, Gen Xers. If you'd like to explore the era that appeals to you, look no further than GenerationXWire.com. The generation who grew up with elite in entertainment, music, movies, TV, books, pro wrestling, and more finally has a one-stop destination for all their Gen X needs. From Aerosmith to Batman to the Killer Bees to the Twilight Zone, there's something for everybody at GenerationXWire.com. You won't find a more eclectic mix of pop culture content than at the leading website that specializes in the greatest generation, GenerationXWire.com. Check it out today.